It's not the kind of war with the tanks and the uniforms, right? It's algorithms and prescriptions. It's the subtle battle that keeps us busy. It keeps us numbed and disconnected from our own inner wisdom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Desiree Caruso, Naturopathic Doctor, and I'm interviewing my friend and colleague, Brandi Garden. She's the co-founder of Aversia Wellness and the author of Healing Your Body, Mind, and Soul. Today, we're diving into Chapter 7, Fighting the War on Consciousness. This chapter opens with a really beautiful quote from Michael Pollan. It says, "Go deep enough or far out enough in consciousness, and you'll bump into the sacred. It's not something we generate. It's something out here waiting to be discovered." Brandi, in a world that keeps us distracted and connected, what does it look like to bump into the sacred in everyday life?
I do love that quote, and I love Michael Pollan's literature. It's funny. I think we imagine the sacred like it's hiding on a mountaintop or it's behind the door at a retreat, but honestly, it's everywhere. Right? It's in that pause before the first sip of morning matcha, or if you're a coffee person, or tea. It's in the kindness of a stranger in the grocery store lineup, like last night. Or it's in that deep belly laugh with your best friends that snap you into the right now. We're in it right now. And I think meditation helps too, because I know for me, when I drop into stillness, I can feel that field of possibilities. Not to get nerdy, but I call it the quantum field. I can hear it get loud, and everything like volume control goes down on everything else. So the sacred's not hiding. We're just scrolling past it when we are distracted by, you know. And I think you don't have to chase enlightenment. And I did think that at one point. And the less I chase it, the more I find out that it's patient. It's waiting for you just to look for possibility, right? The sacred isn't found in escape. It's revealed in awareness.
When you talk about a war on consciousness, what do you really mean? And where do you see it showing up most in our lives?
It's not the kind of war with the tanks and the uniforms, right? It's algorithms and prescriptions. It's the subtle battle that keeps us busy. It keeps us numbed and disconnected from our own inner wisdom. So anything that is the fear and the distraction and the over-medication are the front lines. And yes, this overlaps with the war on drugs, which didn't just target the substances, it targeted states of mind. So it began as a cultural and political backlash, control and stigma and fear, but the fallout was a long chill on the research into the tools that expand awareness, right? And the war isn't out there. It is fought in our nervous systems every single day that we choose awareness over autopilot. That is your choice. Nobody can take that from you. So I think it's a war waged through fear and distraction and over-medication, not bullets. But they're not that different.
Absolutely. And this segues into my next question, where you point out that so many people are prescribed SSRIs or other medications, which often mask symptoms without actually addressing root causes. And we talk about all the time as well. How did you begin shifting from symptom management to true healing?
I mean, it started with radical honesty and then curiosity, right? So the SSRI is interesting because I've never taken an SSRI myself, but I have walked alongside friends and family who have, and I have witnessed how hard it is to come off of an antidepressant. And that's why I included it in the chapter, because I think we don't talk about that part often enough, right? You call it informed consent. They're prescribed like candy, and they're needed, and they do work for people for a period of time, but I think too far often not all of the information is given. So tapering is real work. I have seen people have to do it. It is no joke. Withdrawal effects, emotional whiplash, the fear that your symptoms are returning. Watching that in real live people in my life taught me to ask deeper questions. It's where the curiosity came from. And for me, healing began when I stopped outsourcing my wellness to external fixes and I started asking why. Right? Why is this happening to me? And then supporting my nervous system with practices that could help me to build capacity. And it's an ongoing process. But I would say healing started when I stopped outsourcing my wellness to a pill bottle. And it doesn't matter whether that's an SSRI or any other prescription, in my opinion.
In the book, you highlight the new wave of research on psychedelics like psilocybin and how they're reshaping mental health care. Why do you think these medicines are being re-examined now, and what gap are they filling?
Yeah, I mean, so cool. And I mentioned this in the last episode too. Brand new research. We both followed Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and they released a study yesterday that essentially, I mean, we'll talk about it a bit, but the old model is cracking, right? We have mastered symptom suppression, but we have forgotten soul expression alongside with that. So psychedelics aren't here to fix us. They're here to remind us, and they help people remember what wholeness feels like. Connection and curiosity and compassion. So I think we're also learning that certain meditative practices can evoke endogenous psychedelic experiences as well. This is the research I speak of, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza's team has been documenting breath and meditation protocols that correlate with these high coherence brain states and even gamma surges like we would see in a psychedelic experience, suggesting that the body can create its own chemistry for these peak states without external substances. So different paths, same destination, remembrance. So they're helping people remember what wholeness feels like, remember who they are, not just numbing what hurts, which is never going to get you to become the person you want to be.
That's a great reminder. So I love how you talk about brainwaves. You talk about brainwaves at the office as well. But in this chapter, you talk about brainwaves like gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta, and how they shape our awareness as well as our creativity. I'm wondering, why does that matter for healing? And how did learning this science really help you feel safe exploring consciousness?
Safe's a great word because, well, I like to know, and understanding what's happening in your own body and your own brain turns mystery into empowerment. There's so much fear, right? There's so many people that don't understand what's happening. So psychedelics can shift you out of high range beta into more of an alpha or creative state, creative theta, and occasionally into gamma as well. But so can meditation. So I think when I felt the brain wave state change through breath work and then practice it through meditation, the fear went away. And, I think breath and stillness, they train the dial from stressy beta toward calm alpha, and then we get into that reflective theta. So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, delta is you're sleeping. You come out of sleep into theta. So think about that time in the morning when some people have their most creative thoughts, ideas, aha moments at that time. And then you slip up into alpha, and this is where I love to meditate. And then we're in beta. And we live our lives of consciousness in either low level, mid range, or high beta is the stress response. You're in fight or flight when you're there. And I think too many people live there too often. Gamma is even above that. And that can be hard for people to understand. It's a very high frequency brainwave state, and it's what we will see on psychedelics. And now we will see people in deep meditation go right through the high beta. You have to go there to get there. So coming out of the typical alpha meditative state and go right through the beta states into this gamma state, which is, I call that super consciousness. It's exciting. It's exciting. So once I learned about all of that, the mystical had a map for me. Right? Knowing the science doesn't make the magic smaller. To me, it makes it feel safer. And then I was able to relax into it. So understanding the science took the fear out of the mystical for me, I guess is what I would say.
I found in this chapter that you were really careful to emphasize safety, legality, and integration. And this is something that you and I feel very strongly about in this space. And for people who are curious about this, but cautious about consciousness expanding tools, what is a grounded and responsible way to begin exploring?
You have to start where you are, right? Not where Instagram tells you to be. So if it's meditation and breath work and nature, those are consciousness tools too, and that might be all you ever need. And if you ever do explore psychedelics, you need to do it legally where you can. You need to do it safely, and you need to do it with a very clear intention and integration support. So we talk about set setting. It's either set setting and dose, set setting and support, but these are everything. Your mindset, the setting you create for yourself, and your plan for support after are everything. Healing tools should always come with aftercare, not escapism. We're not just, swapping distractions. So healing
Yeah.
tools, they have to come with integration and intention. And I think that we need to talk more about how they are often used for escapism, and that's not the real intention of them.
You ask whether this was ever truly a war on drugs or actually a war on consciousness. What convinced you that it was the latter?
Well, I think I started to learn that expanded awareness does not make you a better consumer. It
Mm.
makes you a freer thinker, right? Systems built on control don't thrive when people wake up. And it was like, oh, like, what is this world we've been living in, right? The more you know yourself, the less you can be manipulated by fear, by advertising, by authority. So to me, awareness is a revolutionary act, right?
Yeah.
It's quiet and it's
Yeah.
inconvenient and it's unstoppable, right? Expanded awareness does not make you easier to control.
Hmm.
And that's what scares the systems built on control. When
Hmm.
I mean, that's been written about for eons. But when I really saw it and saw it in myself and in my friends and in my family around me, the light went on.
Hmm. You can't unknow.
You can't unknow.
On the same day that you retired from teaching, you made a massive life decision about how you'd move forward on your healing journey. What gave you the courage to step into that unknown?
I mean, I think it was equal parts terror and trust in the moment. I left the comfort of a pension, right? I worked for the government for the wild unknown of purpose. It wasn't bravado. It was integrity at that time. And when you see what's possible, pretending not to know hurts more than the risk. So leaving safety to follow truth is terrifying. I'm not going to lie to you. It's terrifying, but it's the only way to live fully awake. And I highly recommend it.
Love that. You write that real rebellion isn't actually loud. It's quiet,
Mm.
consistent healing work. What does conscious rebellion look like in your life today?
It looks like love in a loud world, right?
Mm.
It's a lot of emotional intelligence, which is what I think humanity is lacking the most. So it is either no or fewer emotional reactions. I aim for responses instead. It's meditation instead of outrage. It is education instead of accusation. I think conscious rebellion, it doesn't need a megaphone, like I've said before. It needs mindfulness. So it's choosing organic over easy. It is compassion over cynicism. It's presence over panic. And it's pausing long enough to let wisdom answer before my ego does. And I was not good at pausing before. And the better I get at that, the less my ego comes to the party. So it looks like love, like
Mm.
meditation instead of outrage, like creation instead of consumption.
Chapter 7 is such a wake up call. It reminds us that awareness itself is an act of courage. But in chapter 8, Building Your Dream Team, you take that awakening and turn it into collaboration. Is this where the individual awakening becomes something collective, like a community movement?
Exactly. Exactly. Right? Awakening is contagious. The
Mm.
healthy kind of contagious. It's cold and flu season. We have to be careful with that word. Once you remember who you are, you naturally help others remember too. So that's how consciousness scales through community, right? We
Mm.
rise higher when we rise together.
Absolutely. Can't wait for chapter 8. See you then, everyone.
See you.